This week, John Hammond, senior security researcher at Huntress, joins us to discuss how turning cybersecurity education into industry impact is a good thing. In the security news, the LastPass breach. Long live John McAfee. Mac's getting fewer updates. CPE correlating to CVE. Clicky hacks. Anti-cheat is not anti-hack. New LVFS release. An $8 million zero-day. Don't sign crappy code, a very handy pie, and a site that lets you send poop anonymously is hacked. It was a pretty crappy exploit. All that and more on this episode of Ball Security Weekly.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. FlexTrack is the premier pen test reporting and collaboration platform, empowering your team to spend more time hacking and less time reporting. FlexTrack centralizes your data, streamlines tedious workflows, automates report building, and facilitates communication with stakeholders. To learn how you can achieve a 30% increase in efficiency and cut report cycles by up to 65%, head to securityweekly.com/FlexTrack. Claim your free month of FlexTrack and get your copy of the Writing a Killer Penetration Test Report Guide today. Right now, everybody is talking about cryptocurrency, and the cybercriminals are hiding in the conversation. Cybercriminals use social engineering loaded with urgency and fear to successfully prey on your company, your employees, and your customers. Spear phishing is just one of 13 types of email threats. Barracuda has identified these 13 types and shows you how you can protect your company, your customers, and your reputation. Find out about the 13 email threat types and Barracuda email protection. Get your free ebook at securityweekly.com/Barracuda. That's securityweekly.com/Barracuda. Welcome everyone to Paul's Security Weekly. It's episode number 754, recorded on August 31st, 2022, right here in G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island. Here remotely, Mr. Tyler Robinson is with us. Tyler, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Super excited to be here with John and crew. This should be a good time.
Absolutely. Mr. Josh Marpet is here with us, broadcasting from the 80s horror set.
90s horror set. Come on, get it right.
I think you need more microphones, though. You've only got two. More is better.
Okay, give me a minute. I'll go get some more. It's not like I don't have them.
It's like Letterman. Letterman has the Heil PR40, or had when it was Letterman, right, on the desk, and that was there just for show. It was there just like as a backup.
Really, was it?
And they used lapel mics, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I feel like you get the same vibe.
First round center.
Yeah, one's there for backup. It's good. More microphones is better. Security Weekly is proud to partner with Hack Redcon for their first annual in-person event. Hack Redcon is happening at the Hyatt Regency in Louisville, Kentucky from September 7th through the 11th. Part of our partnership, Security Week listeners receive 10% discount on registration by visiting securityweekly.com/HackRedCon. John Hammond is the senior security researcher at Huntress. John is a cybersecurity researcher, if I hadn't said that already. Burgundy just reads what's on the teleprompter. He is an educator and content creator as part of the threat operations team at Huntress. John spends his days analyzing malware and making hackers earn their access, and joins us tonight to discuss how to bring both valuable and actionable information into the industry and how that makes an impact, even in unexpected ways, for better or for worse. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me with you. This should be a ton of fun.
It's awesome, man. How'd you get your start in information security?
Oh, goodness. That is a can of worms, I suppose. I don't know. I think I grew up sort of like any kiddo thinking, hey, I want to make video games, or I want to be a hacker like you see in the movies. I guess I was just cheesy and silly enough going around and look on the internet, Google or YouTube, and how to be a hacker. I got lucky enough. Maybe I landed in the right place and found, hey, you should learn how to program. You should learn how to code. So I kind of started out doing software engineering and creating things, but it wasn't until I kind of went over to the United States Coast Guard and the government and the military. They care more about the security of stuff. Hey, it's not so much so can you make something, but can you break something? And that's how it opened the floodgates for security.
That's amazing. So how long did you spend in the Coast Guard? Was that always something you wanted to do, or? And thank you for your service.
It's interesting, and I'll be totally transparent here. I knew, debt, student loans, all that stuff that can, eat away at finances later on in life. I was like, I don't really want to deal with that. So I was thinking I'll look for a service academy or something. I didn't really want to do traditional college and undergrad. I thought, okay, maybe the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy or West Point or whatever. Coast Guard said yes. So
I'll reserve all of my jokes for our friends that have served
fair enough.
Various armed forces. The jokes, you already know them. So there.
Oh, yeah. Puddle pirates. We could sling as many as we wanted to at the Coast Guard side. I don't know. But it's an interesting thing. I got to be, again, totally straightforward. I didn't graduate. I didn't commission as normally you kind of would with a service academy obligation. 5 years of obligated time as an officer, and then still work around the service. So I don't know, weird thing. Like, sure, I kicked around in the classroom for maybe 4 years and got an education. Here's what would make up a degree, but don't have a degree with that. And hey, spent some time on cutters for summer training, but man, I wish I could have maybe done a little bit more out in the fleet. But hey, it got me a darn good start in cybersecurity.
When you say you did the air quotes thing, when you said education, well, what did you learn in the classroom? Was it like maritime stuff, like Coast Guard stuff, or was it cyber stuff, or a mixture of both? So
Coast Guard at the time, Coast Guard Academy did not have a cybersecurity study or a major to work through, an undergraduate research specifically to that. There wasn't a computer science degree. It was, slim pickings for kind of a technical nerd and fellow wanting to get into this. So I studied electrical engineering, and that was signals and systems and all that stuff that I don't use at all in my day-to-day life.
Oh, you do. You just don't always know.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah. Abstracted away from me. But no, now I think they've rolled out what they're calling a cyber systems major, but it is, of course, kind of, as you mentioned, hey, mixed in with maritime stuff. You're learning navigation, you're learning, hey, ship driving, etc.
That's awesome. So what did you do after you came out of the Coast Guard?
So I'll be super quick. I know, hey, origin story can be a little boring for folks, but I pivoted over to the Department of Defense. I used to teach with them at their cyber training academy with DC3, their cyber crime center thing. That was a lot of fun, but it was being a teacher. It was carving out curriculums and being up on the podium to talk for 8 hours, which is great. It's a lot of fun, but can wear you down sometimes. So I went to go try to do something operational, be on the keyboard with the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. That had a little bit of red tape, some slow moving progress. So I thought, hey, let's bounce back around to the training academy. After a little bit of time there, I ended up kind of getting reached out to by a good friend of mine, Kyle Hensloven, who's over at Huntress. And he said, hey, John, we just landed our Series A. We're moving and shaking, having a lot of fun. Do you want to come join the party? And that's where I'm at now. It's super fulfilling.
That's amazing. Then you decided to create a YouTube channel. How did that come about?
Yeah, so thank you. It's funny. I think the YouTube channel has been a sort of a constant thread throughout that whole backstory, right? When I was a heck of a lot younger, trying to learn and get into the scene myself, cutting through code, playing with Python or PowerShell or all those things. The way that I learned was from finding these resources online and from other people just being willing to share this education. I don't know how I had the crazy thought at some point. I could try that. I could make some videos and maybe try to teach what I'm learning, and I figure, hey, that's one of the best ways to learn is, can you demonstrate the mastery and explain it to someone else? So even way before, I got to admit, my undergrad, the YouTube channel was a thing. It was slow and I don't know, just kind of there, but would eventually grow and kind of blossom a little bit. It didn't really turn on in my mind until 2018.
How long ago did you create your YouTube channel?
So if you look back, the creation date is 2011.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have over 400,000.
Do you feel old yet?
Over 400,000 subscribers, man. Good for you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a labor of love. It's definitely a passion project, but it's a ton of fun.
That's amazing. What kind of things you talk about today on your YouTube channel?
Ooh, so I try to, not just do the programming tutorials, but talk real, cybersecurity, whether it's training in capture the flag or looking at techniques for penetration testing or looking at vulnerabilities and bug bounty, etc. Do a little bit of dabbling in malware analysis, cruising through the dark web and cheesy cybercrime circuits. Very, very recently, and one that I was kind of pleased with, I tried to showcase how a phishing scam worked by targeting me. And then, got to take a look at the sample, try to understand, why is this thing kind of novel? And I'm really pleased to see the success on that one. I think we could get that out in front of a lot of people. Just be aware of threats like that.
And you have a Discord channel, correct?
I do, yes.
And I think you were doing like a live thing where you were doing, do you do like a live CTF challenge and then invite your Discord channel?
I do sometimes.
Yeah,
I will
how does
admit.
that work, man? Like that's how I discovered you. I was poking. It was when we were starting to get into Discord, maybe just before we even created our own server. This is like how we also started the podcast. I was like, oh, like what's a podcast? And I'm like, oh, well, let me go listen to some podcasts before I create my own, right? It was similar to you with YouTube and then Discord. I was like, well, let me join some Discord servers before we go off and create our own. And you were one of the first ones I joined, and you were doing this like live CTF challenge. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Thank you. I mean, that's awesome. I think I hadn't even realized, way back when you were kind of kicking around and taking a look at the Discord server that I had. But I just love, I think it's so cool to be able to get a community together and share common interests and talk about, what they're up to, what they're learning. I don't know, bring that education and spread the wealth,
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us have imposter syndrome and don't want to do like a YouTube video on something we just learned because like, crap, man, I'm not an expert at that. Like, what if I get it wrong, right? And I think I realized pretty quickly you got to get over that.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to say you don't know or don't have the answer or, do something with a narrower scope because you're learning it. But the scope you do know could be useful to someone else that is starting fresh in that topic. So that's awesome.
I'm really glad you brought that up. If it's all right for me to interject.
Yeah, please do.
I have tried to kind of keep a lot of the content and stuff that I bring out. I try to keep it as authentic and as genuine as I can. I think there's a real good attraction when you have a completely bundled up and packaged and tied with a little gift wrap bow on it. That like can be how you learn something. Here's a fully polished tutorial. But hacking and cybersecurity isn't that all the time. There's a heck of a lot of rabbit holes. You're banging your head against the wall. You do some troubleshooting, debugging, learning on the fly. So I try not to edit my videos, and you'll see me make mistakes and I'll waste time. But I've heard, and I've gotten a lot of feedback that people like seeing that because that's the real process.
That's awesome.
And I hope that adds some value.
No, that does. That's actually encouraging for me as well. I'm learning a lot of really deep technical stuff in my day job, and I wasn't sure of myself today, so I didn't want to get the wrong answer, and so I'm like, I'll get back to you. And then you think about it afterwards, you're like, I knew that answer, damn it. But rather than get the wrong answer right, I wanted to make sure we got it right. So the question was,
I agree with you,
the question
Paul.
was, here's the quiz. The question was, if in Secure Boot your DB and your DBX has the same entry of a hash or certificate, what happens? Pretty sure Tyler knows. But
DBX takes over.
Yeah, it was the answer after. I was like, oh, it's obvious. Like, you got to apply your revocation list first before the rest of it. And so, yeah, it takes precedence. A for the day for Tyler. Good job. Of course, but what also my coworkers point out to me is that if whoever's implementing the secure boot process actually follows the spec, there may be cases where it doesn't.
That's important nuance, because many of them do not.
Correct. But yeah, you got to get yourself out there, right? And I like how you say that, like, I was doing the video and then like, oh wait, something's not right. Let me go like research that or figure it out and just capture all of that. And it captures the process. That's awesome. And it's hard doing it on your own too. Like we do this podcast, and like if I get stuck, I can turn to Josh and Tyler and and our guest John, and I can ask you guys like, oh, did I say that right? And you guys can act as like the validation for that. When you're one person doing the thing, man, there's no one else to save you.
Well, I think there's kind of an interesting feedback loop in that regard, because like, obviously comments exist, right? YouTube comments, people are going to start to point out a lot of those flaws.
Don't read the comment. I like Joe Rogan's advice here, man. Don't read the comments. Don't.
I think Joe Rogan got that from Wreck-It Ralph, though. Let's be real.
Yeah. Like, don't.
Oh, God.
Wow.
After we broke the internet.
No, actually, I got to say, I think I like the idea that you do it live and you do it real, because if you're not showing a polished view, you're not showing the what could be, you're showing what actually is.
It's how Josh has modeled
his only. People appreciate that.
It's how Josh has modeled his OnlyFans page.
Well, I mean, come on.
Don't do the finger.
Oh,
don't do the finger. No.
Oh, God, my eyes.
But seriously, I think that showing the truthful nature of what goes on in any kind of penetration test or discussion or learning experience shows that not only did you actually learn what you're doing, because, you know, if you're practicing a demo, you make it perfect all the way through. But if you're actually learning a skill, you sometimes are going to screw up. It just happens. Even Tyler will admit that occasionally, once in a while, he doesn't do it right.
I think there is a real secret to failing in front of people, because they improve my process just as well. Like, I'll learn something from the constructive criticism. Hey, just the input, like, oh, you know, you could have used this tool and that would have saved however many minutes, seconds, whatever, or just this technique, or if you had done this, etc. I really like that. And I think, hey, that's improving myself, not just the people listening in or watching.
Yeah, well done, man. Well, 400,000 subscribers. Seriously? Congrats.
No,
thank you.
444,000 subscribers. Because YouTube can't give us any more exact details than that. Because I don't know. What are they? They're like saving CPU cycles for some. I don't know their reason. YouTube's weird,
all right, so
man.
John, you've got like 3 more years because you need to solve the cyber skills gap by yourself. We're just going to recruit all of John Hammond's subscribers, and they're just going to get new jobs. Okay?
Single-handedly fixes the industry. That's great.
Seriously. Oh, by the way, Paul, I added some microphones for you.
I see that. You've got more microphones than when they just keep multiplying. Well done. Well done. More microphones, the better.
What are some of the things that you've done to kind of get your brand out there and to get the community rallied around you, especially from like new beginners getting involved in the community? I mean, many of us have been doing this for 2 or 3 decades, and having that kind of outreach and being able to reach that level of audiences is not something any of us have done other than you. So what are some of the experiences and things that you can pass on for those getting started and those that are trying to make that kind of big change and effect at a larger scale?
Oh, man. Goodness. Thank you for asking. I think it boils down really to, it's boring and probably advice everyone's heard, but I think if you really take it to heart, there's some real impact there. Get yourself out there and like, hey, shamelessly to the point of like, hey, I made this thing. I want to put it up online on my website or on my GitHub or in my portfolio, or I want to go talk at a conference and showcase this thing, whether the research that I did or what I put together, or go be involved in those conferences. Like, go, I don't know, volunteer, go help with it and attend and participate in their own CTFs. It's sort of like weird guerrilla marketing. Like, hey, I want to advertise myself and just be out there, be a member of the community and be present.
I agree. I think that if you look at the number of people that are in the industry versus the number of people that are speakers and volunteers in the industry, you'll find there's a distinct correlation between the people that are speaking, volunteering, even the first-time speakers, between the speakers and the volunteers and the people that are really jumping up the ranks, making their mark felt, if you will, in the industry. So hint, if you want to make your mark felt, if you want to really be somebody in the industry, go volunteer at a conference, go speak at a conference. You don't have to speak. Some people are massive fear of speaking, but go help out. Go build a conference, go volunteer at a contest, go say, hey, CTF, would you like somebody to help run a table or something? You know, there's dozens of places you can help out, and it really makes a difference in not only your internal self-esteem, but your external perceived value.
Yeah, next week, Hack RedCon, if anybody's listening, promotion there. They need as much volunteer work as possible, not just this year, but next year. So if you're interested in a village or helping out a conference that's, back to our roots in Louisville, and we all want to go back to 3rd Street Dive Bar and have a good time. So, come help that conference get on their feet.
I know that advice sounds kind of cheesy, and it's like what everyone tends to say, like, hey, I'm looking for a job or I'm trying to get my foot in the door. But it's like networking has serious value, and not just computer networking, right? But like, hey, meet space, people to people. If it's all right, I think Tyler and some of the other folks, hey, behind the scenes for Security Weekly, ran into them at RSA, and I was like, hey, I want to rub elbows. Can I chat? Like, can we hang out sometime? And that's, hey, let's go get John to come hang with us for the show. And I ran into you at DEF CON. It's like, hey, let's be present.
Yeah, and they come back, and I'm like, oh, you mean to tell me you were like asking me if the dude that created that awesome channel in Discord I found years ago was like coming on the show? Well, of course he can come on the show. Why didn't we have him on sooner? Matter with you people?
Well, thank you. It's a real treat, everyone.
That's really cool.
So,
John,
can I ask a? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask an off-topic question. I'm drinking a martini. Are you guys drinking anything? Did I not prep you well enough for the show, John, to have an alcoholic beverage, if that's your thing?
I've got to admit, my friend, I don't think you did prep me enough. I have like a water bottle here, and it's got ice in it, but that's the extent.
It's a nice water bottle, but yeah. Sorry.
So I've got a vaguely relevant question, other than the alcoholic question that's so pungent around here. But what do you think? On your channel, you teach penetration testing and techniques and all kinds of interesting things. What's the most advanced technique? Have you ever dropped a 0-day on your channel or something close to it? Have you ever done an explanation of something that just came out, anything like that? I'm honestly curious what your most fun segment is, I guess.
Oh, yeah. And thank you. So this is where I'd love to kind of, carry that conversation for our trajectory here of turning, cybersecurity education, the games that we play like CTFs and whatnot, into industry impact when there are news and headlines and stories breaking about whatever crazy 0-day or vulnerability is out and about. I've been really, really fortunate to kind of get to be with the team that I work with, and we're chasing these things. We want to be a part of it on the front lines and, be in the trenches with everyone when we saw Print Nightmare hit the streets, or when there was the Kaseya ransomware incident, blowing up companies and businesses left and right. Microsoft Exchange, Hafnium, try to keep on tabs with Felina when there was that Microsoft Diagnostics tool thing. Those are ones that I'll try to, can I get out in front of this, and can I again educate as many folks as I can. Print Nightmare has some crazy stories along with it. We could dive into those if you want more can of worms here.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
So I know that Huntress has a reputation of, when something like this happens, when a new vulnerability drops, that they throw a Reddit post out there, a blog article, a LinkedIn post, and they're like first on scene, if you will. And it's really cool. There's a lot of MSPs that now depend on Huntress to give them the news as fast as it happens and keep them updated on the technical side, which is really cool. Do you follow up with your channel with that, like the weekend after Felina dropped or whatever? And what was your favorite? Sorry, I know I'm going back, but what was your favorite one? I got to ask. Oh,
thank you. Yeah. So I do, and thank you for all the kind words on Huntress. We're especially happy to hear that. It's fun because I'm often one of the fellas that's carving up the Reddit posts and sharing this on our blog. But
I know.
So when Print Nightmare came out, that was one that was Print Nightmare vulnerability with Windows Print Spooler, right? Hey, it could offer execution running commands as a system, and have complete administration power over the machine, right? It could be done remotely, which was terrifying, and it could be done locally. Just a privilege escalation vector. So I think there were already some exploits out and about for Print Nightmare and in the remote sense, but I thought I kind of wonder if I can pull this thing together as a local exploit within PowerShell. And that was one that I got together with another peer and coworker now, and it was funny. I messaged him on Discord and I said, like, hey man, are you busy? Are you free? And he's like, no, what's up? I got some time. And I told him, I'm trying to put together this print nightmare proof of concept in PowerShell. And he just sent me like a laughing, rolling on the floor emoji because like, I'm trying to do the exact same thing. But we were both working in different directions. I wanted to get, hey, the bytes sent to like trigger this thing. He wanted to get a custom DLL. So we kind of put the code together and met in the middle. We're able to release it as it's weird. And if it's all right, I don't want to touch the hot stove of the ethical conversation of security tooling and offensive security tooling.
Oh no, let's go there.
So we released this proof of concept out on GitHub, and you got a little bit of traction here and there. That one has a spicy story to it because sometime later I got an email and I got a message on LinkedIn from a fella who said to me, hey, John, my company had just gotten popped and, ransomware on its way, or if it was already there, or the case may be. And I was looking through the artifacts, scrolling through the event logs. Your name is right there. And like the parameter get help of whatever PowerShell script. I was like, oh, crap.
The police are on their way. Please sit still.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, well, we put it on GitHub and Microsoft owns GitHub and then they took it down. That's happened.
I just felt terrible because like, man, I feel like I just burned this guy's house down. But
No. You created the matches that someone else used to burn that guy's house down.
Fair enough. Obviously, we had some good intent.
But also matches can be used to light a fire and save people's lives who would have otherwise died of hypothermia.
Fair.
So
we wanted to build this thing for better detection, for, hey, testing visibility, validating the patch, etc. And I don't know. That was an interesting one. And forgive me, I realized that to your original question wasn't one that I ended up showcasing on the YouTube channel. But when Log4j came around, hey, I wanted to showcase the impact in Minecraft to bring that to a wider audience. When Felina came out, I tried to get right in front of that with a YouTube video. And those were a lot of fun. I think we have to be a little bit selective in what ambulance we chase, right? Because this happens a lot, but when there's a severe potential impact, then I think it's worth screaming and shouting about.
Yeah, but I do want to have the ethical debate about tools because I feel very strongly. I think the more time goes on, the more strongly I feel about things should be out there, right? It's an open playing field. If you created an exploit for something, then it should be out there. It should be out there for people to analyze, for people to use for good, and if people are going to use it for bad, they're gonna. I mean, because if we take some of those things to like an extreme, like you could take a hammer and you could bash people over the head with it, or you could use it to build a house. So, like, it's not your fault for creating the tool. I think it's important for us to have that out there.
But a hacking tool is just a tool to break things. And so therefore it's immoral and illegal and wrong and horrible and you monster you. I mean, sorry, I couldn't resist. But yeah, it's like, I agree with you, by the way. It's a tool. What you do with it, if you don't create the tools and you don't create the what could be done by bad people, then all you're doing is security through obscurity. And I'm sorry, John, I don't mean to answer for you, forgive me, but all you're doing is security through obscurity. And at that point, we're screwed anyways.
Yep, agreed.
I'd love to dance with it just a little bit more because after the print nightmare situation for that proof of concept, I felt like I had touched the hot stove, and I'm like, okay, whoops, learn my lesson. I know I have a little bit of fun with the offense, but I am a member of the defense, right? Blah blah blah. But when Felina rolled around, knee-jerk reaction, I went out and did it again. Like, oh, cool. Let me. I can bundle this up, weaponize it, and now it's a really cool. Hey. One-click exploit. Put it out on GitHub yet again. And folks would ask, like I remember the cheesy Twitter thread when someone said, don't you feel like you're just enabling cyber criminals? Aren't you just emboldening them to do more? And I felt like I had to answer it in the moment there. So I was like, I think if I can kind of side with you, gentlemen, is it like, if I put this out there, it's available to everyone. Sure, bad personnel, but also the good people that now know and can understand what they might be using. They have a better understanding of how it works. They can dissect it. They can detect it. They can validate. So I tried to give myself that at least.
Yeah, but like I mean, I always tell people like you should only do this kind of stuff with permission. Like that's been a mantra on the show since day one. Like the only thing that separates you from being a cyber criminal and end up in jail is permission, and very well clearly defined permission, as we've talked about ad nauseum on the show.
I disagree.
But there's always that situation, and I've been in possession of exploits that I have shared with people, and they're like, "Oh, look at this shell I popped on some random person and having fun with it." I'm like, "Did you have permission?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, guess what? I'm not sharing anything with you from now on." Like that's not cool. But when you put it on GitHub, you don't have those relationships with people, and anyone can get it. So to play devil's advocate, to kind of where we were going previous to this was, you don't control the ethics and morals and values of everyone in the world. But I also do believe we need to create an even playing field.
The other coin to this.
I'm sorry, Tyler. Go ahead.
No, the other coin to this that most people that throw the argument out there don't realize is, without people building these proof of concepts, without diving into the code, figuring out how the attackers are doing it, the attackers are doing it anyway. Nation states are doing this anyway. We don't get the visibility necessary to all of the people that run on the blue side. You don't have the Yara rules. You don't end up with the IOCs. You don't have any of the things that
you don't get to go to your boss and say, "Hey, we're hacked. We should really fix that."
Yeah, well, so you lose impact from the offensive space. You lose the ability for those tools to make a difference and get better protected and further the maturity of organizations, because now they have to protect not just the IOCs but the behaviors around those particular pieces. But you also are able to identify those malicious pieces and get that fixed with providing that to a larger, broader audience that would otherwise not be able to do that. They're not going to have people out there developing exploits, writing offensive code, all of these blue people that get and benefit from all of these things that we do from the offensive side lose that edge and that space. They're not going to do it. They're not going to research it. They're not going to develop those codes, and they're not going to have all of the detection mechanisms that they so well provided.
When you say blue people, I think of Blue Man Group. Just when you said that, like that's what popped into my head. Sorry.
I'm glad I wasn't drinking at that moment. Thank you. No, but and the reason I disagree with you, Paul, just a minute ago was not because I think you're wrong. You're right, but there's some situations that are different. Let me explain. In certain countries, it is legal to reverse engineer, and it is legal to write malware for research purposes. So they write malware, and these are people that have paychecks and neckties and cubicles and health insurance and all that kind of stuff. And they write malware, and then their company rents or sells the malware to a company who is totally legal, totally legit, who then rents the malware to somebody who's not quite as legal, who then rents the malware to somebody who's not quite as legal. And it keeps getting grayer and grayer and grayer and grayer.
Until you have Hacking Team in 20.
What's that?
Until you have Hacking Team in 2015.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the point is that the intent of those people is not to do it for research, like Tyler was talking about. It was a great point, Tyler. But the intent of those people, those people to write the malware, is to lease it for illicit or illegal purposes. So there's a big intent thing there as well. Sorry, make sense?
There is also ongoing operations that we do have to consider. That a lot of this code is leveraged and used and or sold to, we'll call them allies and or our government, or working groups that are doing very important work for God that require some of this, and this allows us to blend in and do operations in which provide no attribution and look like all of the other stuff that's happening, out there anyway, because it's proof of concept code. So it provides some obscurity in very important organizations for very important operations sometimes.
John, you sparked some great debate on this show.
I'm happy.
I've spoken to Casey Ellis, right? And
yeah,
I've asked Casey, like, flat out, like, dude, you're a target because you have 0 days. And he's like, yeah, but like we try and reduce the window when that's a 0 day, right? So like these exploits are only really valuable to the people that want to do really, really horrible things with them, as long as it's a secret. When you release a proof of concept out there, it's no longer a secret, and it diminishes the value, the market for this exploit. I believe and you can fight me on this, but I believe really high-profile organizations are going to patch that, especially if there's a proof of concept, right? So kind of leave some of the low-hanging fruit, but that proof of concept being out there hopefully pushes that lower-hanging fruit out there to patch those vulnerabilities. So I think you did a good thing, dude.
Let's be clear. Huntress, and John, I don't mean to speak for you, so forgive me and if I'm wrong, let me know. But one of the advantages of having companies like Huntress, where they're actively involved in getting those, like if a 0-day comes out, they're actively involved in, okay, here's what's going on, here's what we're seeing, here's the indicators of compromise, here are all the data about this problem, this issue, this thing. We don't even know what it is yet. Oh, look, it's a 0-day. There's a patch coming, because they're bringing attention to the issue. And when they bring attention to the issue, it pushes. Is that the right word? It peer pressures the manufacturer or the person who's able to develop that patch into doing so. John, would you agree?
Absolutely, and that was the point that I was going to bring up just next. Is I think what I tend to stand. No, I wanted, if it's all right, I'll again play with it, because
go to rock and roll, man.
People can't patch it. People won't patch it if they don't know about it. So if anything, it's that awareness, it's that it's the education that I was just preaching and screaming about earlier. But I really like that you mentioned the word peer pressure, because I think something that we tend to have is a certain talk track, or something that we, again, like, hey, in the know your adversary, understand the enemy in the threat actor world. It's at the same point, you have to hold vendors accountable. It's like, okay, just as you mentioned, people will patch this as soon as they know about it, and you can go to them and bring to them, look, I used this proof of concept and I can absolutely see in clear-cut colors and lines here, we need to fix something.
Yeah, I mean, and that works great until you start talking about firmware, and then whatever.
Get into your world here, Paul.
I can't help but just think that sometimes things fly way into the radar, people still won't patch. But there was a time where, like, if the exploit landed in Metasploit, people would patch it. Like, if it didn't land in Metasploit necessarily, people wouldn't patch it, which is interesting, because we haven't had a lot of those conversations, because now the exploits are just on GitHub, which is totally fine with me, by the way. I think you did a good thing, John, by doing that. I do.
Well, I appreciate it. I think I'm grateful for that support. Yeah.
Keep doing it, man. And hope Microsoft doesn't take down your GitHub account.
What's your backup? Okay, now that's a great question. What's your backup if Microsoft does?
Oh, I don't know.
Run your own Bitbucket or something. Or what's the clone? Is it Bitbucket? That's the Atlassian one.
John Hammond's dark website. Come here.
Take that a step further. What happens with YouTube when your YouTube hacking channel gets? Oh
God, no! Don't say that, because they're just gonna. Just us talking about this now, Tyler, John and I both, our YouTube channels are gone, suspended.
Okay.
Wait, how many times? Hold on. Better question. John, how many times has your YouTube channel been suspended?
Yeah, so now we have to have this conversation, because honestly, I have never had any trouble at all with any of my YouTube videos.
Really?
Never had a strike, never had hey, you're promoting
not
whatever
like you're
activity.
Teaching people how to do hacking. You're bad, John. Take it. Now you jinxed yourself. I'm sorry.
I don't know how it happened. I don't know. Maybe did I become friends with Google folks too early on? Was I safe right at the start? I don't know.
Because maybe the age of your channel.
I don't know if
he's a ginger. They already know he doesn't have a soul.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I couldn't resist, man. I'm sorry.
No, I think that might be it.
do Google YouTube people like watch your channel and be like, no, he's cool. He's cool.
I think presenting it in the perspective, hey, this is for a capture the flag. This is for an exercise. This is for a game. It's for an experiment. Yeah. I don't know if that helps it. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know because we don't know what the rules and the machine learning is, because obviously they can't disclose that to people. If they disclosed how they determined what was good and what was bad, us hackers would be like, oh, I can get around that this way. And us hackers doing it is one thing, but when you get like really awful people doing that would be bad. And so I don't actually fault Google for keeping that information secret. I was having the conversation earlier, like, secrets are secrets. I like how you derive the secret information is just as important as the secret itself, right? So like how Google makes the decision of what's a good YouTube video and what's a bad YouTube video, like that's the ultimate secret right there, unfortunately.
So actually there is an answer, just FYI, if you do get demonetized, struck, whatever, and this is not a joke. I mean, it's a joke, but it's not a joke. I watched some historical firearms channels that actually got demonetized and kicked off of YouTube, even though like World War I firearms is not that weird, but he actually moved to Pornhub.
Yeah. You need to create your Pornhub backup channel right now, John.
Yeah. Different kind of penetration testing. I don't know, guys. I don't know. There are some, I think, I don't know, edge or games that you might be able to play. When I wanted to put together videos on the dark web, right, or showcasing Tor websites and I don't know, some of the weird malware marketplaces, hackers for hire, stuff like that. I thought this is the stuff that's going to get me deplatformed, demonetized. There are going to be guns, there's going to be illicit drugs, there's going to be sketchy stuff to some perspectives, right? So what I had done is I called it the dark web documentary, because if it's a educational, artistic, or scientific documentary, then you're coloring within the lines.
Wow. So you studied some of the things that would get you booted off the platform.
I think there is another cluster of content creators or security streamers, and some of those friends are hey folks over at Google, and we'll just kind of ask, hey, can I get a gut check? Can I get a sanity check? Am I going to burn myself if I go do this thing? And they say, hey, no, you're okay.
Right. I think that's the only thing that saved us, right? Is friends of friends working for Google going like, hey man, we're not trying to burn the world down or whatever. We're just trying to put out information about hacking, you know?
And there's that cool networking thing again, having friends in high places. So
Right. And we've been good ever since, although you never know. The automation, because the automation can go to interesting take on automation, though.
Just don't play any music, dear God.
Well, I'm sure you've gotten have you gotten copyright violations in YouTube?
I haven't somehow.
Because do you play music?
So no, I don't do music, and maybe that could be it, because it's kind of, I know, hey, maybe those videos are boring, but it's just like, it's a screencast, man. You're shoulder surfing, you're looking at what I see, and it's my own creation in that. So
we've had music we produced, like created here in the studio, get flagged. I'm like,
what?
That was our, what? That's our,
we made that.
We made that. But it was close to, the machine learning. It was close to something else, and that.
So they're bots that literally any music of any kind, they will flag, because if you don't counterclaim, if you don't appeal it or whatever, they will automatically get all of the income from your channel, or from that video at least.
Right.
So it's sort of like it's spam DMCA claims.
That's interesting.
I think to be honest though, like all of those should go back to Mozart or many of the composers, because all music originates from that anyway, right? Isn't that the saying?
Oh dear.
They'll go back to the Gregorian chants of AD BC. I don't know.
So what kind of things are you working on as far as additional training or ways to reach the next audience? Kind of what's the end goal for you? What's your life platform now? You've kind of established your status. Now, how do you leverage that further?
Oh, okay. Super good question. Thank you. It's exciting to see. I don't know what I want to be when
I grow up either.
Right. No, I think it's very, very exciting to see the channel grow, and creating content is again, labor, love, and passion. I'm working, obviously, Huntress for my day job, and that is extremely fulfilling and super meaningful, and I don't want to leave that anytime soon. Whenever we cross the finish line or take the exit ramp for IPO or something, I don't know. We'll see what happens then. I'd love to go all in on creating or just doing my own thing. I've been hosting a whole lot of those, again, capture the flag competitions or training environments, and I think it would be really, really cool to keep that as another pedestal. We're slowly building out sort of like an always-on platform, a war game or something where, hey, folks can get in and hack around and have their fun. But bringing those to conferences, bringing those to events, just sharing and spreading that is something that I'm having a lot of fun with, and that might be the next thing if we can keep climbing this thing to 1 million. I don't know, for 1 million subscribers, if we're halfway there almost, and keep pushing out stuff that I think's fun, that I think is interesting, that I think's cool.
So training platform, huh? Interesting.
Maybe.
We should talk. Actually, I'll point you at a couple of training platforms that are springing up.
Cool.
I thought we were talking, Josh. Are we talking? We're talking. Oh, you
later,
later, offline talk.
Drink your Michelada.
Call me maybe.
Go away.
You love my Michelada. You wish you were here in studio drinking Micheladas with me.
I actually wish I was, my friend. I actually wish I was, but
we need to make this happen.
Travel is curtailed right now.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a michelada or that's like an ice tomato something. There's a lot of ice in that michelada.
There's some. You got to put ice in a michelada. Well, I mean, on camera, all you see is the ice. See, if I hold it up higher, see, there's it's a big glass. It's a big glass.
He's got a is it Mexican michelada?
Yes.
A Mexican michelada and a German beer stein.
Yes.
Anyway, what are some of the things that Huntress is actually working on? I'm familiar with the platform a little bit, but I'm not familiar with kind of like what their
dude, like what
next
are you doing
iterations
in your day
are.
job?
What kind of cool stuff are you working on now?
Oh, cool. Okay, so thank you. Please don't let me be like a complete shill. I don't mean to make this a commercial or an advertisement by any means.
No, we're genuinely, we're interested. Yeah.
So Huntress is a software as a service, managed threat detection and security platform is the better term now. Managed security platform. We have an agent that runs on the endpoints, super lightweight, doing its thing. It will survey the scenes for originally what was hunting for persistent footholds, how hackers maintain access, implants, beacons, etc. Originally, that evolved to ransomware canaries, like a tripwire when we start to see files encrypted to readily alert and rapid response on that. We did external recon, which was like, hey, looking at the external attack surface area, what ports are open? Do you still have RDP open? You freaking idiot. And manage antivirus. We're super tuning Windows Defender and actually keeping that configured across all different devices in your organization. Now we're rolling out what we would call our EDR functionality, which is exciting. Process insights, keep an eye on every single process that does its thing, of what's child process, parent process, etc. That gives us a whole lot of new detection opportunities and a little bit more of that prevention when you couple it with Windows Defender. We're rolling out a Mac agent that we're super excited about. We're rolling out network insights to get a little more of those. Oh, what are the packets? What's the traffic actually doing? So moving and shaking, all about it.
Yeah, the Apple platform is weird, man. Anytime you support the Apple
platform, it's a whole new world.
It's so weird.
So you're supporting Windows coming out with Mac, and you already support Linux, or?
So supporting Windows, and that has always been our bread and butter. Now moving into Mac. We don't know if we're going to get into the Linux realm because for managed service providers, it's just a minimal percentage of usage, right?
Because it's mostly
Mac was slow as it was.
It's mostly user desktops, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes. I was just curious, honestly, because you're right. It's a minuscule percentage in the sort of formal MSP space. I forget the number. It was like 97% are Windows. 2.9% are Mac, and
next year, Josh, next year is going to be the year of the Linux desktop. I'm telling you,
only on Paul's desk,
and the year after that too, and the one after that.
This is the social engineering we do. Every year is potentially going to be the year of the Linux desktop.
And then they get their audio drivers working the year after that. And
I don't know about that. No. We're not making any of those claims. We don't know when audio drivers are going to work, okay?
And Microsoft Teams and projection and using a projector and
you know what though?
Comment.
I will using a projector. I'm telling you, I have not had an issue with. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, my Linux laptop projected just fine into our video switcher, and Larry's Mac did not. I'm not convinced on that one. Audio drivers, I'll give you all day long. Teams, I'll give you all day long.
Audio drivers and Teams are no comment.
But I would also argue that Teams does not work well on any platform.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
one.
see, no one's going to fight me on that one either.
When will multiple identities on Teams work in the same browser?
Oh my God.
That's all I want to know.
Oh my God. Don't go there. Go Google.
Good Lord.
Google Teams works great with multiple identities. It's awesome.
By the way, John, did you hear that the Coast Guard recently changed their minimum height requirement to 6 feet?
I did. I know where this is going.
That way, if the boat sinks, everyone can just walk to shore.
Oh yeah, yep. Get the trousers wet. I don't know. Puddle pirates. We were having fun.
I was impressed you held out that long.
Wow.
Well, hey, how you guys feeling? We having some good conversation here? Has this been everything you were expecting? Bringing this
everything I ever hoped for and more.
I mean, I just want more John Hammond now. Like, how do I get more? Like, what are you up to next? Where can we find you?
What kind of
videos? Get your plugs
Yeah.
going here, man.
What's your YouTube channel name? What's your Discord server name? How do we find you, man?
Thanks so much. No, I super appreciate it. So yeah, you can find me pretty easy. I'm basically a walking dox. My name's John Hammond. My face is plastered everywhere. I have red hair, so you can pretty track me down. Whether we're at a conference or whatever, please come say hello. YouTube channel is just my name. You can find me on Twitter, my name, LinkedIn, etc. Discord, there should be a link in there, but you can find it through johnhammond.llc. If anyone wants to reach out for cool stuff that I might be able to lend a hand with, whether it's helping promote awesome stuff that you do, or you'd like a capture the flag training, anything, please reach out. I'm a resource and your friend.
A capture the flag training. What do you mean by that?
Oh, so if we were to host a competition for your company or for your conference or for your event, again, that's something, hey, we've got some folks and we're cutting up challenges and hosting the infrastructure. So
wait, is
CTFs,
that you? Is that you or is that Huntress or?
That is me. Sorry, that is John Hammond brand, not Huntress brand.
You do like CTFs for like conferences and like organizations and stuff?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So
a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. Do you have your own CTF or do you use other people's and just run people through it or?
So we run our own. Sorry, we're going to go down another rabbit hole. But thanks for coming with me, guys.
Yes.
So I developed challenges, and I used to growing in the Coast Guard and trying to teach people and get people into this thing. And it eventually became a much larger venture because I could create challenges and I could host a game or a competition for some of the virtual events that were going on during COVID, right? Mm-hmm. There was VersaCon, it was a virtual security conference. There's NomCon, there was HacktivityCon through HackerOne and other things. Or we bring it to a local B-Sides event, or we bring it to the Diana Initiative and their virtual event, etc. So we've hosted large worldwide public games supporting like 8,000 people, which we're pretty happy about, solid infrastructure, or private closed events where you need a registration code to get in. But it's a custom thing. We are very, very excited because we'll spin up like per user instances, like something dedicated to that player. So they don't have any of the problems of people vandalizing or removing flags or killing it with a fork bomb or stupid crap like that.
Or everyone's still got their own scoreboard.
Right.
I've always loved hacking the scoreboard. People hate me for it, but I'm like, you know what? We're hackers, okay? Like, if you tell us don't hack the scoreboard, we're going to hack the scoreboard. Come on now. That's cool. Which, other than your own CTFs, what CTFs do you recommend people check out?
Oh, so I got to admit, for folks that just want to get into the scene, it's maybe it's boring in that answer, but whenever folks ask me, hey, how do I get started? I normally point people towards like overthewire.org, one of the war games, to just learn the Linux command line, start to, not be afraid of your keyboard anymore. And Pico CTF, which is a great one to just kind of learn, there's like a Olympic style game here where whether or not you're looking at web security or reverse engineering or binary exploitation or forensics or crypto, there's different, lanes to play in. And I think that's cool exposure just as well.
That's awesome. Pico CTF is Carnegie Mellon University, huh?
Yep, they've been going for a little bit, but they're always fun and enjoyable and approachable. I know they say, hey, it's a game for middle school and high school students, but do not take that as a as a warning or as anything. It can ramp up pretty hard, but they want to make it approachable and friendly for folks to get in the scene.
John, talk to Eric Arnoth, Dichotomy, about the Pros v. Joes
Pros versus
CTF.
Joes?
It's the one that runs at B-Sides LV, B-Sides Delaware, etc. I think you two could have a really fun talk.
Absolutely. I used to play with Pros versus Joes. One year I was a participant, and then the other was a blue team captain. But he's been doing incredible stuff. I know Dichotomy and the Hacker Tribe do fantastic work.
Oh yeah, they're good people, really, really good people. So yeah, I didn't know you had been affiliated with that. That's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely. They've been building a lot. They've actually built it out to be fully remote available because of COVID, and they've done a lot of work. And I think, again, I think you guys could have some fun chatting.
Did he get that 501c3? I thought he was charging for it. I don't remember.
501,
excellent.
501c3 is done as far as I know. He's trying to bring more and more people into management, basically, so he's not running the entire sort of scene alone. Right. We keep working on figuring out how to fundraise for it, and it's interesting. I'd actually love to have a chat with you and him sometime about that to try to figure out how it can be made self-sustaining effectively.
Super cool.
John, I just have 5 questions left for you. Are you ready to play 5 questions with Security Weekly?
Absolutely, my friend. This is the tradition.
3 words to describe yourself.
Oh, no. Energetic, excited, and a friend.
If you were a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice?
An axe.
That was really
pretty fast. Yeah, they're pretty.
Yeah, that was a little scary.
Does that make you a hacker? Never mind.
Oh,
you saw right through it. You knew.
If you wrote a book about yourself, what would the title be?
I'm a security charlatan, and so are you.
What is your favorite hacker movie?
I really like OG Hackers.
What's OG Hackers?
Sorry, Hackers, but the you know what I mean.
Oh, I thought you meant like there was this documentary I watched. In me and 3
don't
other
do that
people,
joke again.
No, I'm not doing that joke again. Old school 1995 hackers.
Yes.
God, love it. Choose 2 celebrities to be your parents.
Jennifer Aniston and Ryan Gosling. I don't know.
Yes.
That was
Jennifer Aniston.
oddly specific. That's awesome. Very good. John, thank you very much for appearing on Paul Security Weekly.
Thank you all. This has been a real treat. Thanks for having me.
With that, stay tuned. Security news coming up next. We're going to talk about a website that allows you to anonymously send poop. They got hacked.